In a world plagued by $70 games and in-game microtransactions, a brave adventurer embarks on a perilous journey going through the worst, the best, and the most questionable games, on a mission to find the best games hidden in the indies. Okay, who the fuck wrote this script? Hey, what's up guys, my name is Crash, and we are back with another Hidden in the Indies video. Today we're doing it on Animal Well. Before we get into this, if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you leave a like and a sub. We are on a path to get to 500 by the end of summer, hopefully. But yeah, let's get right into this. So Animal Well is a platformer puzzle type game, and it's honestly really good. There is a lot of issues I see in the game, but also a lot of praise that I can put onto it as well. It might just be with like the issues that I do have are just because I don't really play stuff like this genuinely all too often. So maybe I just don't understand it all too much, like compared to other people that play this genre a lot more than I do. Usually I play more RTS style, and when it comes to puzzles, it's more just like simplified, not like this is like doing platforming, if that makes any sense. Like I never really was a player of like Mario, Spyro, stuff like that. So let's get right into this. The first thing I want to talk about is the environment of the game. The game's environment is honestly amazing. I love most of the areas that you go through. All of them feel really unique to themselves as you progress throughout the game. And plus you don't really have to choose like one set location to go through at first. You actually get to go wherever you really want at first. You just gotta kind of go around, explore, and find different items to use throughout the game to get to different locations. And all the locations, honestly, I feel like they put a lot of time and effort into them, and I feel like personally they actually nailed it pretty much as best as you can with like all the different environments you get to go into, because everything feels unique, and to be honest, it makes you want to explore more and see all these other different locations throughout the game. And most games don't really have that type of feel where they can pull you in and just be like, go explore. Most games, after you see it, you're like, that's a one and done, whatever. But with this game, there's a lot of stuff to see and a lot of secrets to go through, and it brings you to a whole bunch of different locations, which makes the game a little bit more charming, at least in my eyes. So how's the gameplay? Most of the time you're running around doing different types of puzzles to collect items that actually help you with other puzzles. And honestly, most of the items in the game are actually really fun to use. I'm not going to go into all of them because I feel like this is more of like an experience that you should see yourself, but I will talk about some of the main ones that you usually get like around the beginning of the game, which one is like a bubble wand, and honestly that is probably my favorite item. It pretty much just spawns a bubble, and you can hop onto it and, you know, get to higher locations depending on how you like set them up during the puzzles. This thingy is really fun to use, honestly. I thought it was a glitch at first, but I'm guessing it's a game design. Usually with the bubble wand, you can use it to like hop into higher locations, but if you get good enough at it, you can actually just keep hopping onto the bubbles and like getting into a higher positions without like having to use a different platform to keep yourself up into the sky. Because when you jump onto the bubble, it starts moving towards the floor a little bit, so you have to quickly find a way of hopping up to the next location. But if you're good enough at the game, you can just keep hopping on to the next bubble and just keep respawning them and getting higher and higher, depending on how like well you are at doing that. Another item is like the frisbee. Honestly, I think it's not all too useful. It is a little bit interesting though, because you can hop onto it and like ride it around, which is pretty cool and just like a small thing to add in. And what other item that I'll talk about is, I guess, you get a slinky, and the slinky is used for like maybe like 2 to 3 puzzles. The only issue I had with the items, honestly, personally, is most of the items aren't really all too used. There's like 2 to 3 that are actually important, and then the rest are kind of there for maybe 1 to 2 puzzles, which is fine. But at the same time, it feels like there was a lot more stuff that could have been fleshed out aside from just the 1 to 2 things, because I feel like once you get the bubble wand, that item is almost the only item that you really need for almost every puzzle in the game. Like certain ones, like I said, will make you use other ones, but most of the time you're just using the bubble wand to get to the next place for progression. So aside from collecting items, you can also go around and collect these like secret chests that give you eggs. And every time you collect a certain amount of eggs, they open a door, and that leads to different secret items that you can use throughout the game. I'm not going to go into them all too much because, like I said, I want people to be able to progress through this game and find them themselves, because that is part of the charm of this type of game, is usually you get to find all this stuff and you get to learn the experience all by yourself. But I do want to give it like a general idea of how the game plays and like if it's enjoyable or even hits that niche that you are looking for. But yeah, aside from that, you collect the eggs and they just unlock different items, and those items actually can be used for certain things, and they aren't as unique because certain ones just play into the role of other items that you unlock just naturally from playing, but that's completely fine, at least in my eyes. But I feel like they could have had a little bit more uniqueness to them, but I'm completely fine with it. I think they're pretty fun, and I love the ideas of how the items work and how much like uniqueness they have, at least in my opinion. Aside from that, throughout the gameplay, there is like a couple bosses that you can fight, and those guys are actually pretty fun to fight as well. They're not really quote-unquote boss fights, but you do a puzzle to defeat the bosses to gain these like souls. I'm not going to go into this as much either. It's just because, like I said, this is just so you guys can get a general idea, but I want you to be able to play this yourself without like spoiling everything in it. The bosses are really fun. They have some uniqueness to them. Like every boss that you fight is in a different region, so they have different types of like vibes to them, and they kind of fit what they are, which is cool. There's not all too many, and the game's not really that long either. Depending on like how well you are at puzzle games, this game can be like, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours. And I know most people will say that's a long time, and for most, I would say I agree with that. But for like price for time, at least that's how I usually do it. It doesn't really hit that. It doesn't always have to have a long period of time to hit that price tag. Depending on like what type of games there are, some have to hit that criteria or have some way of like alleviating it. At least that's how I see it. So what is this game priced at? It's priced at $25, which I think is a bit too much for what it is. There's maybe 5 to 10 hours worth of content depending on what you're doing. If you're just playing through the main story, it maybe hits 5, maybe 6 hours depending on how hard the puzzles are for you. But if you are going for all the stuff on the side, maybe 7 to 10. But it really does come down to what type of player you are, so this is like more of a preference depending. Like if you go around and collect all the stuff, it's going to take a bit longer, so you might feel like the money fits like the time that you spent playing throughout the game. But personally, just playing through the normal plot, I feel like the game should be priced at like $15 to $20. So I think $25 is a bit too much of a asking price. But at least for the people that aren't interested in spending $25, there is PSN on the side, which is what I use to play it. And I'm happy they have that on the side for people that aren't all too interested in spending that much money to at least check out the game and maybe enjoy it or pick it up right after, depending on how much they enjoyed the game. If this game was priced at like 10 to 15, I feel like it would have been a personal like pick up at that point, but just because it hit that $25 range, I'm a little hesitant to pick it up because it's a bit much. But if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you leave a like and a sub. If you guys think I'm wrong on this, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below and we can have a conversation about it. And if you think I'm right on the money, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. But I'll see you guys next time. See ya.